Thank you. I want to thank you for attending. This is very important to us to get the information out to our citizens of what the serious incident that just happened. But before I get started and read my statement, I want to thank from the bottom of my heart every agency that assisted us in this. They did a fantastic job. They showed teamwork, perseverance, dedication, professionalism, and I can't say any more. I mean, it's just tremendous what they did. And I know a lot of them didn't go home and go to bed. They were here for days, and it worked out really well to a successful conclusion. So thank every one of you. On August 3rd, 2016, approximately 12:30 a.m., an explosive device was placed and detonated on the hood of a marked Thurmont Police Department vehicle, which was parked outside of his residence. At that point, the officer just secured 30 minutes prior to that from his tour of duty. The explosion caused significant damage to the front end and windshield of the vehicle and sent fragments into the officer's occupied residence. There were no injuries associated with the explosion, fortunately. Due to the nature of the incident, the Thurmont Police Department, Grady County Fire Marshal, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Grady County Sheriff's Office, Maryland State Police, and the Frederick Police Department conducted a joint investigation. Located at the scene, lying next to the vehicle, was what appeared to be a pipe bomb. The pipe was covered with burnt residue consistent with a black powder type material. Duct taped to the exterior of the pipe were 2.5-inch finishing metal nails. Also found was a partial end cap that had been blown off, which had a small diameter hole drilled through it, which is common for inserting a fuse as an ignition device. Those items were collected and they were sent to the ATF laboratory to be analyzed. While at the scene, investigators were informed that on Sunday, July 31st, 2016, a discarded bag of trash from Burger King here in Thurmont was located next to the marked vehicle. The bag contained a receipt from Burger King. The bag was collected as well, and this will tie in to the investigation, which you will hear more about. During the course of the investigation, it was found that the suspect, later identified as Kyle Rutger, R-U-T-J-G-E-R, Mueller, M-U-E-L-L-E-R, of Moser Road, Thurmont, Maryland, date of birth of 12/20/1993, was responsible for manufacturing and detonating the bomb. Identification was made as a result of witness accounts describing a possible vehicle fleeing the scene, which was a Toyota Highlander. Investigators linked receipts from a debit card used by Mueller to purchase food from Burger King and black powder from a gun shop in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. Additionally, a videotape footage from Lowe's in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, showing Mueller purchasing a 12 1/4-inch pipe with 2 end caps, which matched the pipes at the scene. On August the 5th, approximately 7:54 p.m., investigators observed Mueller driving a Toyota Highlander, which was described earlier, at the Burger King drive-thru. Mueller was subsequently stopped and placed under arrest. After interviewing Mueller, he was transported to Frederick County Adult Detention Center, charged with the following: destructive device manufacturing, destructive device possession, destructive device user, destructive device storage, reckless endangerment, and 2 counts of malicious destruction of property. Investigators executed several search and seizure warrants at Mueller's residence and vehicles, located numerous items that linked him to the bombing. And the investigation is still continuing because there will be some information that cannot be released at this point in time, but the lead investigator can take care of that. Thank you very much.
Would you mind spelling his name one more time, please?
Yes. M-U-E-L-L-E-R.
And the middle name was Rutger, you said?
Yeah, R-U-T-G-E-R.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And as I stated, a copy of the statement that was just provided to you by the chief will be given out at the conclusion of this event. At this point in time, I'm going to call up the lead detective from Thurmont PD, Jody Maybush.
Good afternoon. Detective Maybush. I work for the Thurmont Police Department, and I think it's highly appropriate to echo the chief's comments and appreciation to our partners. This investigation started at 12:30 a.m. on Wednesday, August the 3rd. The partners that really helped us out in this case and brought us to this conference today, the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the Maryland State and Local Fire Marshal's Office, the Maryland State Police Coordination and Analysis Center, the Frederick County Sheriff's Office, the Frederick City Police Department, and the Thurmont residents and tipsters. As I said, the investigation started Wednesday the 3rd at about 12:30 a.m. Evidence on the scene consisted of a homemade improvised explosive device. It was detonated on the police vehicle. That evidence was recovered and sent off to the ATF lab for analysis. Some of those lab results are still pending. Updates on that will come here within the weeks ahead of us. Also, there at the vehicle was a located discarded bag from Burger King that consisted of a cash register receipt that was collected as evidence. That evidence became key at the end of the investigation yesterday. Essentially, the way the investigation started is that we reached out to all the regional hardware stores as well as the home improvement stores. From that evidence, information was obtained that Mr. Mueller had shopped at the Waynesboro area Lowe's, and where the purchase of the pipe as well as the end caps were made. That was a cash purchase. Several days after that, Mr. Mueller went back to the Waynesboro area where he purchased a 1-pound container of black powder. This evidence at this gun store establishment, a debit card receipt was used and retained as evidence, which indicated the last 4 digits of his bank debit card. From there, other evidence was linked to that debit card back to the Burger King bag that was recovered. Circled back around, and which that was able to identify who Mr. Mueller was. We went back to the Burger King and other establishments here in Thurmont. At that time, we didn't know who he was. Looked through their video surveillance, was able to determine the type and description of cars as we observed him go through the drive-thru on the surveillance. So now we had a description of a person of interest as well as a vehicle description. Yesterday afternoon, several investigators were out canvassing the area as well as the ATF agents where that vehicle and that person matching the description was observed traveling down North Church Street. The agents and investigators followed it through town, turning onto several streets, and where he was eventually stopped, just right down the street from where we are today. Upon the traffic stop, one of the investigators observed that the person that was in the vehicle driving was in fact the person of interest we were looking for. Also in plain view, during the traffic stop and interaction with the driver, a check debit banking card was located on the driver's seat. The investigator asked if he could take a look at it, and that check debit banking card matched the last 4 digits of the receipts that we had and the information that we had thus far. There was also a magazine to a weapon in that car. No weapons were located in the car. He was arrested at the scene. I assumed custody of him, where I then transported him to the Frederick City Police headquarters and performed an interview with him. Through that interview, he confessed to me that he did make the purchases at the Burger Kings that matched the information that we had as evidence. Also through the interview, a confession that he had also made the purchases of the pipe, the end caps, as well as the black powder container from the Waynesboro establishment. Based on these confessions, we went further into that interview to the point to where he admitted to assembling this explosive device at his residence. According to him, his plan was not to target a police vehicle. However, Mr. Mueller has had some interest in the past with explosive devices, and he's an avid gun enthusiast. Based on the interview and the confessions, the evidence that was on scene, that was collected through this investigation transported Mr. Mueller to the Frederick County Adult Detention Center where he was charged. As of this afternoon, Mr. Mueller is still incarcerated and his bond has been set at $300,000. Thank you.
You said that.
Well, let's hold our questions to the end. Yeah, thanks.